Call the meeting to order.
There's Carol.
There she is. Excellent. I'll wait for her to connect. Good afternoon, Carol.
No, she's muted.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. It's 2:01, and we'll call the meeting to order. The Zoom chat will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. Note that this meeting is being televised, streamed, or recorded by Bourne TV. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, please acknowledge it at this time. Ready? All right. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can do so by calling the following conference line number: 1-929-205-6099. The Zoom meeting ID is 859-8750-7248, and the password is capital.
And you have to use all capital letters.
You do, sir.
Yes, I found that out.
Okay. So all members are present. We have Wayne Sampson, Tom Joyce, Carol Lynch, and John O'Brien. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes from October 16th, 23. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Tom?
Yes.
Carol?
She's still muted.
Yes.
And John?
Yes.
Okay. And the minutes from November 6th, 2023? Motion to approve?
So moved.
By Carol. All those in favor? Tom?
Yes, second.
Yes. Okay. And are you in favor?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Carol, are you in favor?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I am also. And for the minutes of 12/12/23, do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
By Mr. O'Brien. A second?
I'll second.
Okay, Carol. And all those in favor? Carol?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Wayne, yes. And just for the record, I was also in favor of the October 16th ones. Okay, so number 4 on our agenda is a discussion and vote recommendations for the fiscal year 25 capital requests. The first is a recreation 5-year plan. Marlene?
Thank you, Wayne. This item is on the agenda really for me to tell you that we will be updating the 5-year plan for the recreation department. We've had some staff changes. Katie Matthews has just been appointed as the new recreation director. She's currently serving as acting director. And she's been working with the recreation committee on their needs and priorities. So because of the changes at the staff level with the department and the ongoing work of the committee, this 5-year plan is not yet updated, but we will do that before town meeting and send it to you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have to approve any funds to do that study?
No, that's something we'll prepare at the department level and send to you when we get closer to town meeting with an update.
Okay, great, thank you. So a feasibility study for the Clark, Pecasset, Chester, and Keith areas.
Thank you. So I'm going to turn this over to Liz and Katie. And we also have Matt Sawicki as the DPW director here to talk about what the committee has been working on. And I'll let Liz lead off.
Oh, thank you. In your packets is a narrative regarding the history of this and the proposal before you. The Rec Commission or the Rec Committee has been working for almost a year now on actually evaluating a needs assessment on 3 different areas. One is personnel, one is communications, and the third one is facilities, which they brought before the select board on the 23rd of January, their report. In the report, they recommended 2 projects to move forward for FY25, and then they will be itemizing, as Marlene mentioned, they will be itemizing out the remainder of those projects that they had identified and put it into a 5-year capital plan, which will go before you in the future. But the 2 proposed are before you today for FY25, which will be recommending CPC funds in addition to other grants and other projects that are working in tandem. So the first one that is before you on your agenda is the feasibility study. Looking at, there is a hardcore project that is going, actually resurfacing 3 of those locations. And that hardcore resurfacing project, which is from a previous CPC fund awarded project, which we are moving forward, and it's going to start the actual construction or the work of it is going to start in the end of April. That project will sustain the life of those hard courts for about anywhere between 2 to 4 years, depending on weather and use and all those other factors. The committee itself felt that buys enough time to look at actually what is being used, what is not being used, what are the future needs of our community, and they identified these 4 locations that kind of meets the needs of all of the villages. It's nicely placed, scattered throughout the community, and so they are looking at it in a comprehensive. This is a more unique type of proposal where they're going to be asking the consultant to look at all 4 locations simultaneously and making sure that any future sports and recreational opportunities for our community are met, not just what was in the past. So that is before you when we're requesting $150,000 paid from CPC that would be submitted. If you are in favor of this, it will be placed on the FY25 considerations for CPC.
Okay, if I can just clarify, please. So there's actually 2 things going on here.
Yes.
One, you're gonna do some repairs starting in April, which is from prior year's funding.
That's correct.
Correct. Now, I believe that the delay there was finding a person to supervise the projects. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you were able to find somebody to do it?
Yes, and he helped me work on the RFP. We actually have awarded the contract. So that is, like I said, going to happen in April, the resurfacing. Now the money, the contract actually was not for the full amount of the CPC funding that was awarded. There was a second part of that application from 2 years ago that was for ADA accessibility. That remaining portion of the funds will be set aside to then incorporate when the feasibility study identifies what we need for ADA accessibility. So it is relevant, and we can use those existing funds to pay for designs and construction when the time is necessary.
Okay, so the feasibility study that you're talking about today, is that for the ADA or is this for the future use 3 to 4 years from now?
No, the future use for 20 years of those facilities. So it's going to take us at least 2 years to actually do a real feasibility study. That is the proper length of time when you are actually reaching out and engaging the public and getting their input and buy-in for projects and seeing what the youth really wants and projecting this for 20 years. That those projects take about 2 years to finish. So it's going to be a really robust project moving forward. So, but for example, in 4 years, the Olympics, the Summer Olympics will be happening, and lacrosse actually will be incorporated into the Olympics for the first time. We have now about 300 children that are in an association participating in our community for lacrosse, but we do not have a lacrosse field. But if we do the feasibility study, that will allow us to identify the proper placement for one or multiple lacrosse fields, then we will be prepared for when actually it becomes a much more prominent sports for professional lacrosse players and into the Olympics.
Okay, excellent. Any questions from committee members?
Is there a organization or something that is working other than the high school on lacrosse? I know lacrosse at the high school has worked its way in there, but is there, like we have a Little League, we have all these other organizations. Is there an organization behind lacrosse right now?
Yes, there is. They appeared before the select board in 23, the early winter of 23. So December, I think, or late November, they appeared before the select board asking for better conditions of fields, more support, and then they went to the rec committee and asked for the same thing. So yes, John, there is an association. Like I said, I think they have 300 kids in the area that are already participating in that sports within the association. So there is a need, a big need.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments on this request? Okay.
Just one question on the resurfacing. Are we talking about, like, let's take Pecasset here, that's around the corner from me. Are we talking about what is now the tennis court? Is there going to be any change to make it more feasible for the other one there? That just pickleball, yes.
Yeah, so that project is separate, and we're moving forward on that, and that will incorporate pickleball as well for relining. But again, the conditions of those existing courts, John, are really very, they will need to be completely redone and incorporating more ADA accessibility, new fencing, a lot of things. But that project that is starting in April is only for the resurfacing of the actual pavement and relining of it. It doesn't incorporate any other broader initiatives or anything which the feasibility study will then be able to examine and propose concepts as well for expansion or replacement or any improvements.
The reason I asked the question was that I make a daily trip to the post office in Pecasset, and it's been a long time since I saw a tennis ball go back and forth, but I've seen a lot of pickleballs go back and forth.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you want to take a motion on each individual item, or just do them at the end?
Well, I think
Either way,
we ought to do it separately. We ought to do number one and then separately, I would think. The request is $150 for community preservation funds, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, so Tom Joyce made a motion. Second,
I'll second. Well, go ahead, Carol. You beat me to it.
okay, Carol, second. Okay, all those in favor, Carol,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
and Tom,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, and the next item is a community center skate park and softball field.
That's correct. Yes, thank you. And thank you for the positive vote on the other application. This application before you is the facility behind the community building. You're probably very familiar with the skate park there that was placed on an existing hard court that was not really used. It wasn't very popular. And about 20 years ago, they placed ramps and other types of obstacles in there to create a makeshift type of skate park. When 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, there was a feasibility study on that particular location that looked at the whole unit as a comprehensive package, but the proposals, though, the estimates were very, very high, and the Capital Outlay Committee, as well as the Select Board, voted not in favor of moving forward with that study to look at it, and that's where then the Rec Committee was put in charge of looking at everything comprehensively and itemize and make sure that what was going before capital outlay and to the community for support was actually identified as the top priorities. So from that exercise, the needs assessment, the Rec Committee is proposing that $500,000 goes towards the actual reimagining of the skate park, the existing skate park, into an all-wheel, all-inclusive park. And so there is $500,000 that is being requested. That would include the actual community engagement, the design, as well as the build, the construction costs for that skate park. And from research, from actually looking at Tony Hawk, who is a professional, well-known skateboarder, he has a fantastic website that is included in the narrative, and they put together a very comprehensive guidebook for communities who are looking to upgrade their skate parks or create skate parks. And the do's and don'ts and how to estimate the square footage based upon population and everything. I do encourage you to look at it. Is really impressive, and it helps tremendously. And that is how the Rec Committee then realized that we were underserving our population when we actually have a facility that is worth and a safe for our community members to actually enjoy. So that extension of the footprint would go into the softball field, which also has been identified as being underused and nobody's using it. So there is room to actually expand the skate park, which there is an identified need for from our community. So this $500,000 is literally for everything, the full prefix course meal. You get your appetizer, you get your main course, and you get your dessert with this $500,000.
So, anticipating a lot of questions about the definition of a four-wheel park, could you expand and tell us what that includes, please?
Yeah, so it depends, Wayne, on actually how the obstacles are designed. So it could be for bicycles, it could be for BMX. It doesn't have to be necessarily for skateboard, but it also includes people in wheelchairs to actually utilize the facility. So it really looks at all types of wheels and abilities, whether it be rollerblades, skateboards, or anything that will be even scooters, two-wheeled scooters or anything like that. And I think Katie can expand upon that. She has probably a better idea on that than I do.
I just want to make sure that we're not talking about motorcycles or
No.
four-wheel. Okay, we're not talking about motorized vehicles.
No.
Okay.
Motorized is not for this facility. It is strictly for physical powered.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Any questions from the committee members?
I was a little confused about that as well from the newspaper article, because you said it does include bicycles.
Yes, like BMX, like trick bikes, not motorized, not mopeds or
right.
any of those off-roading type of, this is for what you would see in the X Games or for in the Olympics as well, that they're including those types of sports. Mhm.
Okay.
In reading the agenda here, are we just basically talking about skate park? You're not talking about building a softball field.
No, so John, it would go into the softball field, so there's not going to be enough space for an actual like upgrades to a softball field. However, in the feasibility study or the community outreach that was done 2 years ago, there were other areas of identified need that the community mentioned, and I have to look at where that is.
I remember, I think that was the $9 million proposal.
Yes, but there was some really good, valuable information that came back, especially, so for one example within it, and it's actually it is in the skate park, it's on page 2 of the narrative. There is a graphic that is listed, and you'll see it right here on the second page. And the graphic, number 6 actually is street hockey. And we have a very big hockey passion in our community for ice. But what happens when there's actual street hockey, which I know is very prominent in other communities, but we don't have a facility right now dedicated strictly for street hockey that does not conflict with other usage. So like they will utilize a tennis court, but what then, John, you prevent people from playing tennis or pickleball on the tennis courts. And it has a different wear and tear on the material. So you need something that's a little bit more specific for street hockey. And if that is something that was very highly rated on that outreach, that community outreach, but we're not meeting the need, there is that option which the rec committee is going to look at. If that is a better use instead of the softball field, which is not being used at all. And there's less maintenance, there's less like yearly maintenance, long-term maintenance for those types of facilities. So that is what I mean. There's like this reimagining of the softball or redesign. The rec committee is looking to go in a different direction in that additional space.
I guess my only concern here is, and I don't know a whole lot about skate parks, but $500,000 skate park sounds like a lot of money to me. But
that is what they cost to do them right and safely.
And there is demand, that much demand.
Yeah. So when the recreation committee and department were going through their large redesign of the outdoor space for the $9 million project, a lot of all-wheel enthusiasts showed up and really spoke very passionately. And it was really kind of, it rose to the surface, and the rec committee really is paying attention that this is something people want.
And if I could just, I'm sorry, my camera's not working right now. But if I could, when Liz is referring to the skate park, it's not going to be like the current skate park. It's concrete, one large piece that is fully usable. There won't be a single inch on that park that kids won't use, or adults even. It won't be like a plug and play area where we put down ramps. It'll be one flowing piece of outdoor rec.
John, I did provide in that narrative also if you want to look deeper into it, Bill Ricca just went through something very similar, and their estimates of the project were well over 300,000. That was the end result of the concrete actual establishment, and ours is going to be slightly bigger than Bill Ricca's. But we don't also have the design money yet or the public outreach, because just like Katie said, we will need to, because we want to do this safe and we want to do this as low maintenance as possible. It actually requires upfront costs to make it that way. So it's not just plug in and plop it down on an existing surface. This is basically gutting the whole thing and putting in a high-end facility that is the right size for the Bourne's community. And that is going to take some money to do it right, but it is going to be something that's going to be a real jewel of the community and our youth. And adults, there's a lot of adults that actually do skateboarding. Tony Hawk, I believe, is in his 60s. So there are still skateboarders and people who surf and who actually will use the skateboarding park to practice their tricks and things. So, and again, it's not all skateboards, it's all wheel. So there's going to be opportunities for, again, any type of ability and passion for wheeled use.
We also don't have anything in town currently that meets this these kids or adults' needs. This is our one skate park that we have behind the community center, and it's in such bad shape that it's just unsafe to reopen. So we have multiple basketball courts, you know, we have playgrounds, but this is the only opportunity that the kids have in town to have a skate or all-wheel park. So it's really important, and it is kind of time sensitive as well.
Okay, committee members, anything? Okay, do I have a motion regarding the skate park?
Move to approve.
Okay, Tom, motion. Do I have a second? Carol?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all those in favor? Carol?
Yes.
John?
No.
Tom?
Yes.
And I'll be a yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next is the school department, Jackson Field bleachers.
Good afternoon, thank you. This request is for the design bid and construction oversight for the replacement of the current home side grandstand or bleachers at Jackson Field, as well as site improvements and an addition of a pedestrian walkway to make the new bleachers accessible. We had a feasibility study done that was completed this year that even though there weren't really no apparent visual signs of failure of the existing bleacher structure, they did note concerns in both the build out of the current structure and the design, most significantly that the back railing was not high enough and does not meet code. And it's Gail's opinion that the existing bleacher structure cannot be repaired, it should be replaced. It's one of those things that once you touch it, you've got to make the whole thing up to code. And that's really where the recommendation falls. They also looked at the existing the press box, but we don't have to do anything with that because it's not physically attached, so it's actually a separate component. But they did give us a cost estimate if we wanted to look at that as well. It would require a lift, and they estimate that price would be about $185,000 to $225,000. Hopefully they want to get this, we can get this done over the next year. The money for the actual rebuild is on our 5-year plan for 2027. and this cost is $72,666. We're requesting $30,000 as we still have $44,000 left over from the previous capital request. And just looking forward, the estimate for the bleachers and the improvements is around $300,000 in today's money. If we reduce the seating to 425 seats, it's currently built for about 610 seats. So hopefully we'll be able to get this and move forward. I know it's been a concern of several members of the community as well as far as the overall safety and structure.
So this, John, is just replacing what's there now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I couldn't get my geography correct here.
Yeah, so it's the whole grandstand that's in front of the press box, just that big metal frame with the lumber attached to it.
I can tell you from experience, it's been there a long, long time.
It has. It has.
So, help me out here on the figures. You're requesting 30,000 for the bleachers?
30,000 to get the final design done, it out to bid, and construction oversight. Now, those last two parts we're a little bit ahead of ourselves, considering that we're not actually looking for this money until FY27, but that money would become available in July of 26. So, you know, we're in a good spot, but we could definitely take the like 20,000, 22,000 out for the bid and construction oversight from this request and add it into the request when we do the whole bleachers. I just hadn't given you the whole price up front at this point, so we could plan and we knew what we were looking at.
Is there a reason that you're talking about going down to a 450 from the current 600?
Well, if you've been down there, that's a massive grandstand. It was just a way to, if we wanted to trim some costs. If not, you know, it's a little bit over 300,000. If we want to replace it with the same exact amount of seating, around 600, and they just do that by an average of like 2.5 square feet per person. So, you know, that would, if we replaced it with exactly the same size that was there, it would be, when we requested the capital request would go up to 322. I just wanted them to give me options, and it really comes down to a per seat cost.
Okay, but what is the average use? Any idea? I mean, do you ever reach capacity?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving,
right? But
right,
you know,
that's the only time I've ever seen it, Phil.
Yeah, at Thanksgiving, but which is a huge tradition in every town.
right?
So yeah, I was just looking for options. It's not for me to decide how many seats. I think we need to dig down as the process unfolds. You know, there's 4 to 6 home football games a year. We have graduation down there. I see the bleachers or the grandstands as being underutilized, but I think part of that reason is because of the condition that they're in. There's no railings to help people walk up them. The footing is pretty narrow. There's no stairs going up them, and a new bleacher structure might get more people into the bleachers as well.
So, can you touch on the lift for the press box? Is this a lift to move the current press box up higher? And will the dimensions of the new bleachers be higher to where it'll obstruct the press box?
Well, that's something that we'd have to work through during the design process. At this point, because it was a separate building, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, as far as following all the codes, that we didn't have to touch it. And we don't have to touch that press box. It's a separate structure, so we don't have to do any improvements of it. So this request really has nothing to do with the press box. I was just letting the committee know that we did look into that part of the project, so that it's perfectly okay for us to touch the bleachers and not touch the press box. If at a future date we wanted to redo the press box, we could.
If I could interject real quick, Wayne.
Sure.
So the lift, my understanding is that means it's an elevator type of thing to make it ADA accessible. Not that we're going to lift up the press box, but yeah, so to not touch the press box would be the cheapest way. It's its own structure. And we're really just looking to replace the actual bleachers.
Okay,
Thanks.
great. So, but you, in the future, if you had a need for the press box, you could come back and get and put that in?
And if,
Is that your,
and if you do that, then they're going to say you can't have it without an elevator.
Correct.
but if it's a lift, then they could use it.
Well, no, I meant elevator. Gail used the word lift, but they mean an elevator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like an encased elevator like you'd get, but it would be a lift attached to the press box.
I'm thinking
It's
of
an elevator.
a jack that lifts it up.
It's an elevator.
All right.
Sorry about that.
And I'll tell you from experience, once you get into that, because of the possibility that we will get back to really cold weather again, it gets very, very complicated because elevators run on hydraulics. And hydraulics in very cold weather get very complicated to deal with. So now you're heating the place also. So I personally think we ought to start out and take care of the bleachers.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. All right. Any conversation, any questions from the committee members? So Jordan, can you just verify the number that you're seeking at this time for the bleachers?
$30,000.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve $30,000?
So move.
Okay, John, motion. Okay, all those in favor. Carol?
We need a
Yes.
second.
Oh,
You
sorry,
need
wait a second.
you need a second.
Carol is a second?
Sure.
Okay, all those in favor. Carol?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
And
Okay,
then if I could, MJ has her hand raised. I don't know if it was a question for you.
I don't have her on my screen.
She was here.
No, I'm here. You probably have to all make your screen bigger. I just had a question for Jordan about where this, you're asking for 30,000, but you have some other money that you're using. What is the other money?
So we had requested $50,000 originally from a previous capital request for the feasibility study and the design. So this new request came in at around the proposal to do the final design, all the studies that were needed, to get it out to bid, and construction oversight came in at like 73. So I just needed an additional 30,000 because I still have money left over from the original 50.
Okay, so this request is for an additional 30,000 for the feasibility study for the Jackson Field bleachers.
We did the feasibility study.
Okay.
So there is a capital account for the feasibility study that had $50,000 in it. I spent about $6,000 to get the feasibility study done, and I didn't have enough to do the next phase, which is the final design.
All right, so it's the $30,000, additional $30,000 for was the first money for feasibility? Did it include design? Feasibility and design?
Give me 2 seconds. I can tell you. It was just titled feasibility study as far as the description goes that I have. I don't have the actual language. I thought I had it.
Okay. I just think we need to be careful about what the warrant article actually says in the capital request, so.
Well, MJ, I appreciate you bringing that up because I didn't, it's tough to split costs into two different accounts. I like to avoid that whenever possible. So I definitely appreciate the question. I didn't know if there was a way to add money to that based off of the language that's there or not. Something we'll have to look into. I don't know if Marlene could answer that.
So should we allocate this funds for is this for the purchase or for the feasibility study?
This is for the design.
Design.
And you also said the bid docs.
And construction oversights in there as well.
Okay. So I guess my question is to MJ, does that mean that there has to be a vote to change if the wording is not possible?
I deferred to Marlene on what actually the warrant article, Marlene and Erica on what it should be asking for and how it should be done.
Yeah, we can work on that when we put together the warrant to make sure that we're clear on what exactly this money will be spent on.
Good. Sounds good.
I'm fine with that. I'm okay. All right. Do we have anything else to come before the committee? Any public or committee comments? Okay. Marlene, are we going to need another date prior to, or?
I don't think so. I don't think you will, unless we have to come back with one of the projects because something changed, but otherwise I think you're good to go.
Okay. So we're not going to set another meeting date at this time. It'll be as needed if we are called upon. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Motion by Carol. In a second.
Second.
Tom. Okay. All those in favor. Carol?
Yes.
John?
Aye.
Tom?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Jordan's got his hand up.
I don't know how it was written in the book, but the capital request for the Jackson Field was just for the feasibility study, not design and construction.
Well, I'm sure you people can work that out.
Right.
And Wayne, thank you that I don't have to go over the bridge for this meeting.
I agree, sir. All right. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, take
Bye.
care.